Okay, welcome back to my Wheel of the Year series. We are going to be painting in our Brigid's cross and our candles. So if you don't have one of these yet, you can go ahead and watch video 1 and learn how to draw it. And I'm going to go over the colors again one more time and why I picked them. The light blue means peace, and the pink means friendship and self-love, and white is very representative of the goddess Brigid and its purity and renewal, which is a great time for right now. You can also pick, well, you can pick any colors that you want. Yellow for creativity, light green for prosperity, gold for protection and good fortune, and then silver for goddess energy and for cleansing. So if you like any of those colors, feel free to pick one of those. So I'm gonna have this kind of off to the side here. And I've already got, obviously, my drawing transferred. This is cold pressed Arches 9x12 paper, 100% cotton, which is my favorite paper. I'm using my Jane Davenport Bright Palette, and I've got Jiminy, Mermaid, Best Friend, 70s eyeshadow, and then I might use a little bit of Butterfly as well, and potentially a little bit of the fairy tale. So I'll let you know. And as always, all of my supplies will be listed in the description box. I also have some of my Molotow liners. I've got 0.5, 0.2, and 0.4. And then I also have a Posca pen. And then I taped this down with just regular masking tape. And I did put a little border also of it's artist tape, so it's not quite as sticky, so it doesn't really rip as much when you remove the tape. I still do put heat on the tape before I remove it. And for my brushes, I tend to use these Princeton brushes constantly: 16, 3, 6, and 10. I don't know which one, if I'll use all of them, or I'll let you know as I choose. And then I have water off to my side, and I've got paper towels, and then I usually have one in my hand as well. So I'm gonna start with the candles, and like I said, I'm going to use the same colors. And for the candles, I'm gonna do wet on wet. So I've got clean water here. I'm gonna do it kind of section by section. And again, you want your paper to have a sheen to it. You don't want it puddling. And I'm just going around the Brigid's cross, because where you put the water is where the paint's gonna go. And I did leave my lines a little darker, A, so you could see it, and B, because I'm gonna outline it anyway, so I don't mind having the pencil lines there, because once you paint over the pencil line, you cannot erase it. Now I'm gonna switch to my number 10. And since we put water on the page, we don't wanna have a lot of extra water on our brush. So mine's just kind of damp. My paint is fairly creamy, so I'm just gonna kind of stir it up a little bit, and then I'm gonna bring that right, and then see how it kind of bursts. That's what you're looking for. You don't have to do it wet on wet. I like that technique. And you just want to move that paint in the same direction, not fussing with it too much. I just grab it right from the edge that's already painted. And you want to try to have as much paint as you think you're going to need ready to go. That way the consistency doesn't change. And then I'm going to dab off a little bit of water that I picked up.
When we wake, hear the birds and see the sun. Side by side our fears are done. Oh, the good times just...
And then while it's still wet, I'm gonna make sure I don't have any water on my brush. I'm gonna grab a little bit more of that paint. And I'm just kind of gently touching the tip of my brush right along the edge of the Brigid's cross, because we're gonna kind of start building up a little bit of a shadow. We'll go back into it again, but watercolors layers. So I'm just kind of dabbing in a little bit to darken it a little bit, and then I'm gonna put just a little bit also on the edge here. And then I'm just gonna leave that alone. And then I'm gonna switch to my 6, because these areas are not very big. So I'm gonna put water down again first, avoiding the areas I don't want to make blue. Dabbing off my brush. And then I get my brush pretty loaded up, which means you don't just put the tip in, you like get the paint on there. And then again, you just kind of want to go in one direction. And then down here, it's starting to pool a little bit, like the extra water. So I just dabbed off my brush again. And then you just use the tip of your brush. It's kind of like a little sponge, so it'll kind of soak up that extra water. And then I'm going to get just a little bit more paint, kind of fill that area in.
Let's hold on tight. Found what we're looking for.
And then I'm going to go back in and just dab a little bit of a little bit more concentrated right there along that edge and along this edge here, because this candle is in front of this candle, so there would be a shadow being cast from this candle. And again, you don't even have to get this. It's so hard for me not to create things like I always do. It's like, oh, I'm gonna simplify it this time, and then I still do it. You know, I don't know, but it could be more like just graphic. It doesn't have to be, you know, full-on watercolor. You can use markers, you can use whatever you want. Now, I did not add water to this little section because it is so small, and a lot of this would be in shadow anyway. So I'm just kind of going around those little ends, and then I'm going to rinse my brush, and then I have just a tiny bit of water on it, just like a tiny bit, and then I'm going to spread that up to the top here. We're going to skip the white one. We're actually going to do that very last, because really it's white, but I use a little bit of Payne's gray in there to create the shadow for that, so I'm just going to do that very last. So now we're going to use the pink, and I'm going to get my 16 again, take clean water, and repeat the same steps but with the pink this time. So I'll probably speed this part up. Remember, you can always slow it down when you're viewing it through the settings.
Call us crazy, but things are finally right. With you and I, the future is bright. Oh, you and I, we got it. Oh, we don't need no more. Oh, even in the hard times, you and I can weather any storm. Before I sleep, hear the crickets, see the moon, side by side and through. No limit to what we can do. Oh, we know what we have, let's hold on tight. Found what we're looking for in life. Call us crazy, but things are finally right. With you and I, the future is bright. Oh, you and I, we got it. Oh, we don't need no more.
Okay, so I just went ahead and dried this. That way when I start painting Brigid's cross here in a second, they won't run together. I'm gonna go ahead and use my 16 for the center, and I'm gonna do it in section. This time I've got a little bit of water. My green is fairly creamy, but I have a little bit more water on my brush this time. I'm just gonna go in. I'm using my lightest green first. Again, just kind of making sure that I'm pushing or pulling the paint in the same direction. In order to stay in your lines, you want to hold your brush kind of perpendicular, not slanted either way. That way you can stay right along the edge. And then I'm going to take my number 3 round, and I'm not getting my brush wet first this time, and I'm actually adding a little bit more from the pan so that I can make it a little bit creamier. And I'm just gonna go in and kind of drop in a little bit along those pencil lines. Not necessarily everywhere, but again, we're just kind of building up some shadow lines, which is what makes things look more 3D. Now I'm just gonna start painting in each of the little tails. I'm gonna get this one wet first. I'm actually gonna scrub that little part right there of the blue. I could have done it right away, and it's not really gonna matter that much, but kind of put some water on it, and you can kind of scrub it a little bit and then use a paper towel. And it'll kind of lift some of that off. So you can decide which way you like better, getting it wet first or just going straight in with the paint. There's no wrong way. It's kind of just preference sometimes, depending on what you're painting. I'm wiping my brush off, loading up my brush. And then I'm gonna switch to my smaller brush to paint in the little ends. And then again, while that's still wet, I'm gonna go in with a little bit of a creamier consistency and just kind of go right along my pencil line. Sometimes I'll go straight from the paint pan so I can get a little bit of a creamier consistency. Now I'm going to go back into the Brigid's cross and kind of darken in some of those areas with a mixture of the two greens that I talked about, the mermaid and the Jiminy. I feel like the jump is a little bit too much between the two, so I'm gonna kind of add them together. So I'm gonna be taking my number 3 again. So this is the Jiminy, this is the mermaid, and this is kind of the mixture together. Take a little bit here, and I'm gonna add a little bit right next to the square. And then I'm gonna have my other brush, my number 6, just damp, kind of off to the side here. Just a tiny little bit of water. So I can use that, just the tip of that, to soften that darker color up if I think it's too much. And then I'm gonna go in and kind of re-darken. I can grab either color or both colors of the green, and you can kind of flick your brush as well, just to kind of make it look like there's some texture. And then for the little wispies, some will be behind, so I'm gonna make those darker. Side by side, our fears are done. All the good times just begun. We know what we have, let's hold on tight. Found what we're looking for in life. Call us crazy, but things are finally right. With you and I, the future is bright. And now I'm going to go into the center again and kind of start darkening a little bit where the lines are, and then also kind of on the ends. We got it. We don't need no more. Even in the hard times, you and I can weather any storm. Before I sleep, hear the crickets, see the moon, side by side and through and through. No limit to what we can do. Oh, we know what we have, let's hold on tight. Found what we're looking for in life. Call us crazy, but things
right. With you and I, the future is bright. Oh, you and I, we got it. Oh, we don't need no more. Oh, even in the hard times, you and I can weather any storm.
And now we're going to go ahead and add a little bit more shadow to the candles, add the shadow to this one, and then add a little shadow underneath. So for the blue one, I'm actually going to add just a little bit of the butterfly color, just to deepen it a little bit. And I'm going to have to turn it a little bit because it's much easier to put shadows in or anything when you're kind of going back in, when I can put the tip of my brush up against the area that I don't want to go into. So it gives me a little bit more control. So I'm just going to go straight in with the paint first. You can get the area wet first and then go in with the paint. And then I'm going to go in with a little bit of water and just soften that edge up.
You and I, we got it. We don't need no more. Even in the hard times, you and I can weather.
I'm going to actually use this little bit bigger brush for the water part. It can take a minute to kind of learn how to put the shadows and things in. So you can always practice off to the side first. And sometimes I mess them up. Not perfect.
Any storm, when we wake, hear the birds and
This line right here is kind of harsh, so I'm going to go in with a little bit of water, just soften it up a little bit. And I'm going to go in with straight in with that color and fill this in some more, because I believe this would all be in shadow. And then there would be a little bit over here as well. And then right next to the white candle, because again, the white candle is in front of. And again, you don't have to do this part. I get a little fussy sometimes. I don't even call it fussy. This is just my style. So sometimes it's hard for me to break away from it. I'll have to try to do that one of these times, make it a little bit different. The pink one, I got a pretty good shadow in right away. I'm gonna go in with just a little bit, maybe right into this part here. And I'm adding just a little bit of the fairy tale to the best friends, just to deepen it a little bit. You don't want to go over it again and again and again and again. You start disrupting the paint underneath. So sometimes I won't even worry about going to put extra shadows in. Sometimes it can be more trouble than it's worth. And sometimes with the pink paints, they're weird. I don't know why, but the pink ones are weird sometimes. They don't behave the same as other colors. They're harder to blend out sometimes. I don't know why. Now I'm gonna move on to the ink color, which is like Payne's Gray. I've used it before. And I don't want a super thick consistency because it is supposed to be a white candle. So I'm gonna dab a little bit off my brush.
see the sun. Side by side, our fears are done. Oh, the good times just begun. Oh, we know what we have, let's hold on tight.
I'm gonna move to my a little bit larger brush. That way I can move the paint a little bit easier. Because I end up lightly coloring the whole candle with it, but it just gets lighter and lighter and lighter.
Found what we're looking for in life. Call us crazy, but things are finally right. With you and I, the future is bright.
Originally, I actually used marker for those, but I'm going to go ahead and just use paint. A little bit of yellow. Dab that off because I just want it to be a whisper of yellow. I can actually go outside the line, make like a little circle even so it can kind of look like it's glowing. I'm going to dry this completely and then I'll be right back. All right, the last thing we're going to do with the paint is this shadow. So I'm going to take my number 10 and I'm actually just going to get it wet first this time so you can kind of see that way. I'm just going right up against the candles because it would be the darkest kind of right there. And I'm going to pick up some of that ink color. I want it to be a little bit more concentrated since I already put the water down. Just carefully going around my candles.
Before I sleep, hear the crickets, see the moon, side by side and through, no limit to what we can do. Oh, we know what we have, let's hold on.
I'm gonna take my number 16 with just some clean water and go along that edge to soften that up. And you can go back and adjust how dark you want your shadow to be. For me, I am making the light source kind of over this way.
Found what we're looking for in life. Call us crazy, but things are finally right. With you and I, the future is bright.
So if you've been here before, you'll know that I talk about line weights all the time. So for the candles, I'm gonna make them a thicker line. And then for the outline of the Brigid's cross, I'm gonna make a little bit less thick than the candles. And then for the inside, I'm gonna do a little bit smaller. So this will be 0.5, 0.4, and then the inside 0.2. Okay? Basically, all I'm going to do is outline everything that we drew in with pencil, and then I'm going to color in the little bands also with black.
You and I, we got it. We don't need no more. Even in the hard times, you and I can weather any storm. When we wake, birds and see the sun. Side by side, our fears are done. Oh, the good times just begun. Oh, we know what we have, let's hold on tight.
So in the center, I will trace what I did earlier with the little rounded edges, and then where they meet, it's like this one, and then this one. So where they meet, there's a little gap, and I'm gonna color that in. It gives a little shadow, like they're 3D.
Found what we're looking for in life. Call us crazy, but things are finally right. With you and I, the future is bright. Sleep, hear the crickets, see the moon, side by side and through, no limit to what we can do. Oh, we know what we have, let's hold on tight. Found what we're looking for in life. Call us crazy, but things are finally right. With you and I, the future is bright. You and I.
So because I made those all black, I'm actually going to bring in a white Posca pen, and I'm going to go ahead and kind of add a little bit of white in between just to differentiate the two strings. Now we could have painted a background. Maybe I'll do that off camera. I haven't decided yet. I may also add the word Imbolc. I haven't decided yet on that either. If so, I'll definitely show a picture of that. So thank you again so much for being here. You'll have to let me know if you celebrate Imbolc, and if you do, if you have any tradition. I hope you'll join me this whole year for the Wheel of the Year for each Sabbath. I think it'll be a lot of fun, and I will be back next Wednesday. Next Wednesday, I'm actually going to be bringing a little Valentine's painting. Okay, I'm back real quick. I decided that I wanted to go ahead and color in the background and a little bit of the floor and go ahead and put the word Imbolc as well. So I decided to pop in and let you see the final result. So I had a lot of fun with this, and I can't wait to do the next one. So again, thank you so much for being here, and I will see you next week.